Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Monday, the 7th of July. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which has died a death, but is above the old resistance area, 8,800, and the longer we stay above that, the greater the chance of a move to 90.30, top of that rising trend channel from the spring of last year by the end of this month. There is a rug pull. The 50-day line is fast approaching, 87.18, so that's a potential destination. RSI at just under 57, so right in the box seat of the move to the upside. And if you're looking for a momentum trigger and an end-of-day close back above recent resistance, 88.40 should be the one to take us towards the long-awaited 9,000 level. 90,000 a bit too high at the moment, I think. Moving on to the DAX, and here the situation is that we are still finding support at that rising 50-day line. In fact, it's a bit better than that because we're bouncing above that 50-day line. That tends to be a leading indicator on the upside. We also had three RSI rebounds at or above neutral 50, and we've held the gap there from the end of last month. So it does look as though this is a positive consolidation, and that we should be able to hit the top of the rising trend channel from the spring of last year by the end of this month. So looking pretty good there on the DAX. If we do break down the obvious area, firstly, 23,500, which was the old March resistance, but more likely towards 23,000 mid-June support. Moving along to the situation at the Dow, which has had a nice little holiday because of Independence Day, and we're looking for this market to not only easily break 45,000, which was the February resistance for this market before the tariff debacle, but actually head to the top of that rising trend channel from May last year. 47,500, and hopefully we could do that by the end of next month. We're really lucky we would do it by the end of this month. Worst case on the downside, the old June support, or June resistance rather, at 43,000. Ideally, we stay above March resistance on the way down, 44,000 ahead of a ongoing move to the upside. On to Bitcoin, where it's surprising given all the people buying or allegedly buying Bitcoin for Bitcoin treasury purposes that we haven't gone through the roof. Actually, in the way we are actually at the roof, we're near the roof, 112,000, the May peak. But looking for, I think, a definitive break of that resistance line there from May, 110,000 on an end-of-day close basis. If you're fussy, I suppose you would just say 112,000 on an end-of-day close basis. But the upside here, hopefully by the end of this month, would be 125,000 at the top of that rising trend channel from back in March last year. On the downside, the worst that we expect at the moment is the 50-day line, 106. If there is a rug pull, which Bitcoin likes to do now and again, then another dip towards 100,000. Hopefully the worst we would see. Moving along to gold, and here it's been a bit of a struggle to stay within that very steep rising trend channel from back in April. We did have a rug pull to 32.30, but at least while we're above 32.30, looking for a break of that April resistance line there at 34.40. And then hopefully by the end of next month towards 3,800 in the top of that rising trend channel. RSI just below neutral 50 at 49, so that explains our current trepidation in terms of breaking to the upside and breaking through 33.65. Moving on to the stocks, and it's all about a very exciting substance called fluorospar with Altona. Here you can see that the shares are within a rising trend channel there from July last year. Top of the channel there at about 2.5 pence, and we're looking for that while we remain above 2 pence recent support on an end-of-day close basis. The positive here is we've had we've had 3 bounces of the RSI at or above neutral 50 in the recent past. Tends to be a leading indicator on the upside, as is the way that we've had a golden cross last month as well between the 50 and 200-day line. So it looks as though this is a mid-move consolidation, and we'll see much more than 2.5 pence for Altona. On to Aptamer, which managed to get away a placing last week, £2 million. Nice ricochet off a rising 50-day line. We've actually got rising 50 and 200-day lines. We effectively had a golden cross back in May for the shares. RSI has bounced twice above neutral 50, which is impressive when you've just had a placing. The target here, 0.52 by the end of this month, especially while we remain above recent swing low, 0.35. Bezant is next, and here looking good in terms of the V-shaped bull flag, as I call it. You can tell by the way we're just breaking the recent resistance, the June resistance, so earlier this month, so 0.039, looking for at least 0.045 over coming days, and I suppose after that we can get more ambitious about the downside, given that there is major, or there has been major resistance for the shares at 0.04. I think we haven't been up to the dizzy highs of over 0.05 for a long time, but the next target here would be through 0.05 towards the old 2023 resistance that we had on the way down. Going on to Hamak, and here you can see that we just hit the target there. We had a good guess that it would be a 3p, and that's obviously after having years of experience and skill. We hit that after the Bitcoin Treasury strategy fundraise that the company has, and looking now for the next target, which should be the old resistance on the way down, 4.5 pence. Looking for that later this month, while we remain above the 2 pence level, which hopefully we can do. In fact, the 2 pence level, sort of the lower part of the range that we've had today. Next up is Kodal. We're, I think, last week, at the end of last week, I was gingerly suggesting that we'll have a turnaround, and that was on the basis of the RSI breaking through neutral 50 for the first time in a long time. Shares up 18% today, so a round of applause. Top of the triangle there, which I drew last week, 0.47, looking for that by the end of next month. The only issue here is that we've got the 200-day line at 0.36 as a block, and we haven't been able to get back above that since last October. So in a way, the rally would really start properly with an end-of-day close back above that. In the meantime, I'd see the shares remain above the 50-day moving average at 0.3 pence. On to Mkango, which has hit the second target, the second near-term target there at 35 pence. If you're a fan of the shares and looking for greater glory, then I've drawn a potential new target there, 45 pence by the end of this month, while we remain on the right side of 30 pence, because that has been the resistance on the way up in the last few days. But interesting that a $400 million NASDAQ listing, but it'll still only have a 100 million market cap here, so maybe there is a disconnect at Mkango, and second gap up in the recent past as well. So shares totally on fire technically. Moving on to Nanoco, where it's been a bit of a torrid history, I suppose, in the recent past, but we have managed to hit our first target there at 13 pence above that, looking for the top of the triangle there from August last year. 18.5 pence by the end of this month, or even sooner. On to Pensana, which has managed to basically do what we wanted it to do, which was head towards that, or retest that 70 pence peak and the resistance line projection from this time last year at 70 pence. We're still looking for that while there's no end of day close back below 60 pence, which is basically the floor of today's price action. We've had a couple of RSI 50 plus rebounds both in May and to start July, so it looks as though there's still a bit of gas in the tank at Pensana. Moving on to Premier African, where we're still mourning the departure of the previous CEO. It's obviously a terrible blow for the whole stock market. Here you can see that we have a potential buy signal set up. That would be an end of day close back above the top of the June gap there at 0.16. So maybe people can send an alert on that. If there is an end of day close back above that and there isn't a fundraise, we could be looking at a best case scenario target here at the 200-day line, 0.03. Otherwise, that resistance line there from November last year at 0.027. So above 0.16, looking for up to 0.03 plus on Premier African. On to Roquefort, which hasn't really had too much love from the market in the recent past, but this is being wheeled forward as a potential turnaround situation on the basis of the bear trap rebound from below the March support there, 1.4 pence, and also the bullish divergence that we've got there, so lower low for the end of June, but higher RSI trace. So on those 2 points alone, and the recent strong candles, especially on Thursday with the opening at the low, closing at the high, doing the same today as well. Decent end of day close above the 50-day line at 1.6 should take us to the top of the range. 2.75 pence by the end of next month or even sooner. It was suspected the market would take today's news from Thor well in the RNS hot list today, and that is exactly what's happened. Gapping off the lows there, we've got a bear trap island reversal, one of our favorite setups, gapping down in April, gapping up today, and rising 50-day line off the low as well. So shares really got it going on at the moment. Thor is at top of the Thor rising trend channel base at 0.8 pence, and we're looking for that by the end of next month, especially given that we have a bear trap island reversal on that daily chart. Finishing off with a stock which was flagged as a potential stock potentially resuming its big rally that it had last month, and we've done that with Tau or Satsuma or whatever it's called at the moment. Here you can see that we did bounce off the floor of the channel there around around 5 pence, and basically looking for an initial target here around 16 pence. After that, obviously, there's wide open spaces between there and the brief high on the 24th of June at 26.5 pence. Actually looking for that by the end of this month. Looks as though this stock is very well appreciated. The other point to note is that we've had a RSI rebound at neutral 50, which I think was a reason for going for the stock again. And we haven't been back below RSI 50 since the end of May. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.